Erev Tov. This is the Dvar Malchus shir, the weekly Dvar Malchus shir. We find ourselves in the parsha. We find ourselves in our study. We find ourselves in the parsha of Tetzaveh. In the weekly parsha, we're actually in the parsha of Ki Tisah, and we also mentioned that in Ki Tisah, it's a very interesting phenomena, never experienced in the history of the Jewish nation. The holiest and most cherished and dear of all that exists in the universe, in the world, the luchos habris, the tablets, are taken by Moshe Rabbeinu, and they're thrown down to the ground and broken. And we would think that this would be the greatest of anguish for the Torah to go and to record such a happening. But at the end of the Torah, literally in the book of Deuteronomy, so we see that Hashem goes and says to Moshe Rabbeinu, not only does he not reprimand Moshe Rabbeinu for breaking the luchos, but he says, Yishar koyach asher shibarta. Hashem gives a hearty thanks to Moshe Rabbeinu for breaking the luchos, the tablets of the Testament. And no one understands what's going on. You're taking, like we said, the most cherished of all things that Hashem brought into this world, and you're breaking it. But in short, because we want to go on with the shir, but in short, the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach explains that this was something that actually Moshe Rabbeinu did in order to save the lives of the Jewish nation. The Jewish nation, in the giving of the Torah at Har Sinai, it was compared to a chasana, a wedding, and it was the matrimony between the Jewish nation and the Holy One, blessed be, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And since this is something that was put into effect when Moshe Rabbeinu, who was per se the shadchan, the person that made the shidduch, the middleman, and Har Sinai was lifted above the heads of all the Jewish nation as a chuppah. So here we also have, like we have in all weddings, we have also the kesubah, the bill of the matrimony, the responsibilities between the chassan and the kala. And what was the kesubah in the times of the giving of the Torah? The 10 Commandments, the tablets. And when Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded by Hashem to go down with the first set of the luchos, he comes down and he hears first, and then he sees what's going on. He goes, and it says that he broke the luchos. What is this breaking of the luchos? It's literally, without again getting into all the details, it's literally taking the ksuba, taking the bill of the bill of matrimony and tearing it up. Why tear up the ksuba? What is it going to help? Well, when a person is married and they have a ksuba, so this represents the responsibilities, the obligations between the husband and the wife. But if there is no ksuba, if the ksuba was not given by the wedding, at the wedding, if the ksuba wasn't given to the kala, to the kala, so she isn't considered actually to be married yet, and she's not allowed to be alone with her chassan. The bride is not allowed to be alone with her groom the night of the wedding. And I even experienced such a thing with a friend of mine firsthand. We went. It was in New York, in Crown Heights. We went to one of our friends' weddings. We danced and sung, and we rejoiced at the chasana. And then at 2:00 in the morning, so I hear knocking on the door. I now open the door and I say, "What's the matter?" So it's literally a good friend of mine in the dormitory, and he says that the chassan, he needs 2 witnesses, and he asked if I would be willing to get dressed and to come to be a witness. He says, "I don't understand. What do you need a witness for? He got married. There were witnesses. We all saw the witnesses." He says, "No, you don't understand. He needs witnesses for the ksuba, for the bill of marriage." He says, "But there was a ksuba." Yes, the kasuba was there, but somehow in the hustle and bustle of the wedding, with all the presents, the kasuba got lost. And since the kasuba got lost, so they need to have a new kasuba written up, and that's what's holding them back from going home. Because without a kasuba, they can't live together. And at 2:00 in the morning, the chassan's grandfather sat down and he hand wrote a bill of marriage, a kasuba. He copied it from the writings. I think from if I'm not mistaken, from the writings of the Rambam, and he hand wrote the entire ksuba, and he signed us as witnesses, and they lived happily ever after, Baruch Hashem. But this is exactly what Moshe Rabbeinu knew, and what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go in to prevent. Because if we were going to receive the luchos, if we would receive the bill of marriage, then we would be a married woman, and a married woman. If a married woman goes off with a strange man, so she's meant to be put to death, if there are witnesses and so on. But over here, there was a marriage, but the ksuba wasn't given yet. The bill of marriage wasn't given to the Jewish nation yet. Moshe Rabbeinu sees the predicament that the Jewish nation is in, that they ran off, so to speak, to serve the golden calf. And the wife ran off to a strange man, and he breaks the luchos, he breaks the bill of marriage, in order to assure that the Jewish nation will not be judged to be punished by death. And this is the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Hashem, upon seeing this, Hashem himself went and told Moshe Rabbeinu, Yishar Koyach. Hashem thanked Moshe Rabbeinu for going and doing this courageous, unbelievable act, that if it wasn't Moshe Rabbeinu, who else would have the courage to go and to do such a thing? No, this is the portion of this week, but let's get into our portion in the Dvar Malchus. We're in Parshas Tetzaveh. Yeah, one portion before the Ki Tisah. And we're on page 362 in the hard copy, in the PDF, 363 in the hard copy, and in the PDF file, we're on page 9 in Ois Zayin, page 9 and letter Zayin, letter 7. And the Rebbe goes on to say as follows. And in this manner also, in a relative manner, it is also touching the strengthening and the increase of the fortune of the Jewish nation in the month of Adar. Adar Bori Mazale. Adar, the month of Adar, its mazel, its fortune is healthy. Which is connected with the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu on the 7th of Adar. His gabrus mazol Adar, the strengthening and increasing of the fortune of the Jewish nation in the month of Adar, mazole bore, it's the fortune which is healthy, strong. This is not only in regard to the root of the soul above, bechinas hamazal, the concept of the fortune in inverted commas, but this also has to do with the drawing down and the revelation in the illumination of the soul that has descended downward here, venislabsha baguf, and has engarmed itself in a body. Kamudgash gam bechach, as is also stressed in which shemazal u'meloshen noizel, that the word mazal in Hebrew, which is it means fortune, it also comes from the root word nozel. Nozel means that it's liquid that flows. That the soul, is the source from which comes the source, and from also which flows from it, from the source of the soul, the influence of the spirit of life down here in this netherworld. As we learned earlier in the in clause hey. And therefore, there is the increase of the fortune in the month of Adar. This brings about the increasing in the children of Israel, as we are here in the netherworld, souls in bodies, neshamas begufim, and also in regard to our delving in the mundane matters of the world, as also is stressed in the concept of the number 7, Ba'adar, and the 7th of Adar, that hints to the making of the dwelling place, Dira, which is coming from the word Dar, La'alufe Shel Olam, for the Almighty of the universe, Aleph b'shivas yemei binyan, in the 7 days of creation. Kloimar, in other words, even though the concept of mazal, fortune, has to do, and it connotates the essence of the soul, and this is the word ayin she'enei musag, that which is not grasped by us here in this mundane world. And this represents the concept of strength and the concept of vitality. Bari v'tokif mazale. The mazel, the fortune, is healthy and is strong. The mesius nefesh shalamayla me'aseichel. And this is the act of dedicating and putting our life on the line to sanctify Hashem's name, which represents that which is above the intellectual comprehension, because the mind cannot bear something which will take away its existence. And therefore, if a person is willing to sacrifice their life in order to go and to bring about the sanctification of Hashem's name, this is coming from a source which is above intellectual comprehension. Mikol Mokim. Nevertheless, this is not in a manner of leaving and going out of the world. Mesiras nefesh kipshute. In other words, going and giving over our souls in a simple manner, our lives in a simple manner. Ella adraba, but how much more so? On the contrary, that the strength and the power, the mesiras nefesh, of the giving over of one's soul, nimshach umizgale, is drawn down and is revealed in all those matters of serving Hashem in the world, in the material mundane world. A soul in a body, to go and to make for Hashem a dwelling place here in this nether world. Come first, Bakmora, as it's brought in the Talmud. Man de isla leidina behade nochri. This is brought in the Talmud tractate Tainis, in the tractate of that has to do with fasting. That if a person has a judgment with a non-Jew, limtse nafshe ba'adar debori mazole, he should push this off to the month of Adar, because the month of Adar, its fortune is healthy. Mishiyesh ladin im nochri, whoever has like we said before, whoever has a judgment with a non-Jew, yamtzi atzmei ba'adar, should bring himself present in the month of Adar. In other words, to push off this judgment to the month of Adar. Shechozok mazole, for the fortune of the Jewish nation is strong in the month of Adar. Sha'pe'ula disgabrus hamazal, that the action of the increasing of the fortune, bari mazole, that the fortune is healthy. He leirak biyachas linyonei haneshama. This is not only in regard to those factors that have to do with the soul, inyonei Torah u'mitzvosea, the concepts of Torah and the precepts of the Torah, elagam b'nogel inyonei ha'olam, but also in regard to the mundane factors of the world, ve'ad lamaymed u'motzav, and even to the extent of the status and situation, the isle dina bahadei nochri, of a person having a court case with a non-Jew. That's as mundane as you can get. And also as stressed in the days of Purim, Shanes de Purim, who Haman. What is the miracle of Purim? The Rebbe explains. This is that the decree of Haman was nullified. The decree of Haman was removed and nullified. And the Jewish nation was not demanded to go and to give their lives over, literally, to be killed, chas v'sholem, God forbid, in order to not desecrate the observance of Judaism, not to bow down to idolatry. And even more so, that everything was turned around, that the Jewish nation was put in control of all those that hated and all those that were the enemies and that hated the Jewish nation. They were put in control. And as we know, the king Achashverosh placed Mordechai and Esther in control of the entire Persian Empire. Kinofel pachad Yehudim aleim, for the fear of the Jews was casted upon them, upon the entire Persian Empire, as we heard earlier in our story. And therefore they were able to go and to continue to deal with the observance of the study of the Torah, the observance of the commandments of the Torah, mitoch revocha, in a manner of a non-oppressed, and in a manner of a honorable and an outspread manner, an overt manner, oira v'simcha v'sosin v'ikar, in a manner of light and happiness and joy and glory. Hein kipshutei v'hen kidrashas chachamenu zal. This meaning, also in its simple meaning, and also as our rabbis of blessed memory have taught us, the meaning that simcha umishte v'yom tov, that the joy and festivity of the festivals, b'chol kuf chaf zayin medinas hamelech, in all the 127 countries of the king, of a maimed u'matzav shemordechai Yehudi mishna lamelech Achashverosh, and in a status and stature that Mordechai the Jew was the viceroy to the kingdom of the king Achashverosh, the Persian Empire. But nevertheless, Gam Purim shebechodesh Adar hu be'ofen she'akate avdei Achashverosh anan. Also, the miracle Nes Purim in the month of Adar is in a manner that we are still adayin avdei Achashverosh anu. We are still the servants of whom? Of Achashverosh. I know, in other words, shegam lachrei Geulas Purim, that also after the redemption of Purim, nimtzoim b'nei Yisrael begolus, the children of Israel are still where? In exile, in Golus. Mashiach hasn't come yet. And furthermore, that after the redemption of Purim, there was the destruction of the second temple that came after the building of the second temple. And the lengthening of the bitter and difficult, this bitter and difficult Golus, exile, in Kol Hagzeros Ushmodes, with all the decrees and all the terrible things that happened to us. Rachman alitzlan hayalesiyeh. Hashem should save us. As it happened in the past, it should not ever happen, and it should never repeat itself in the future. Leisokum pamayim tzara. A peril for the Jewish nation, Hashem promises us that this type of peril shall not repeat itself a second time. That were during the other previous generations until this generation that we are in, that tens of thousands, myriads of Jews were, they literally gave over their lives in order to sanctify Hashem's name. Myriads, talking about millions of Jews. That we find ourselves in the state and the stature of the need for the strength and the power of the essence of the soul, Bori v'takif mazle, the fortune, the essence of the soul is healthy and is strong. In other words, revealed during the times of the month of Adar, lemesirus nefesh be'echad, in order to give our souls over in one or for the service of Hashem, who is one. Tenua shel aliyah l'mayla ma'olam, and this is a motion which takes us above, an elevation above the world. Adir b'amorem Hashem, great is exalted is Hashem in the heavens. Aleph the Adar, who is represented by the letter Aleph in the word, the Hebrew month of Adar. The Iko Shleimus Hamshacha, and the main and the complete drawing down, V'agilui, and revelation, Lemata ba'elam, down here in this world, Al Yedei Binyan Beis Hamikdash Shlishi, through the building of the third Beis Hamikdash, Mikdash Adni Kenenu Yodecha. This is the Beis Hamikdash that Hashem shall build with two hands, so to speak, per se. Bagiula Shlishis, in the third redemption, Bayom Hashlishi Kimenu v'nichye lefanov. On the third day, He will raise us, and we will live before Him. Bais Nitzchi, an everlasting home. Ugeula Nitzchis she'ein acharei hagolus, and an eternal redemption, that there will be no exiles after this redemption. Shayach l'chodesh Nisan, which is connected to the month of Nisan. V'Nisan nigolu v'Nisan asidim nigoel. For as we know, our rabbis tell us that we were redeemed. Our first redemption was in the month of Nisan, the Hebrew month of Nisan, and our last and final redemption will be in the Hebrew month of Nisan. Shenemar, as it states, Ki meitzeischa me'eretz Mitzrayim, as in the days of your exodus from the land of Egypt, our enoniflois, I will show you wonders. This is brought in the Trei Asar and the prophet Micha. The prophet Micha says these words: Uvei hukama mishkan. And in the month of Nisan, the tabernacle was erected. Shekoil gam beis hamikdash shlishi. And the tabernacle also includes within it the third and the eternal temple, the third eternal beis hamikdash. V'shorsa hashchina kanizkar le'el sif vav. And the divine presence will dwell, as mentioned earlier in clause 6, in clause Vav, and this should be Teichef Umiyad Mamish, immediately now, B'teva Nir V'nigla, on a good and revealed basis, Mitoch Simcha V'tuv Levav, with happiness and joy of the heart, especially in the month of Adar, the month of the joy of the Jewish nation. Mitoch Menuchas Hanefesh U'Menuchas Guf, in a manner of the peace and tranquility of the heart and the body. And the main thing is Teichef Miyad Mamish with these golas of the Rebbe Shlitah Melech HaMoshiach immediately now. Teichef Miyad with the revelation of the Rebbe Shlitah Melech HaMoshiach. Yechi Adonenu Moreinu V'Rabbeinu HaMelech HaMoshiach Chai V'Kayom Le'olam Voed. Amen.